One evening, after a long day at work, a husband walks into his home expecting peace. Instead, he finds tension. His wife is frustrated. The children are noisy. Dinner isn't ready. Bills are waiting to be paid. The house feels heavier than usual. Within minutes, voices begin to rise. She criticizes him. He criticizes her. She becomes defensive. He becomes louder. By bedtime, neither of them remembers exactly how the argument started, but both remember how it made them feel. Here's the tragedy. Neither husband nor wife actually won that argument. The argument won. The resentment won. The emotional distance won. The silence won. Far too many marriages slowly collapse because two people who once promised to face life together gradually begin facing each other instead. An old African proverb says, "When two brothers fight to the death, a stranger inherits their father's estate." The wisdom behind those words is timeless. Whenever husband and wife spend their energy fighting each other, something else quietly steals what belongs to them. Their peace, their friendship, their intimacy, their children's sense of security, their future. The greatest marriages are not built by husbands who never disagree with their wives. They are built by husbands who never forget that their wife is their partner, not their opponent. That is the third timeless law. Never turn your wife into the enemy. Greetings to all my amazing guild brothers around the world. I welcome you all to this edition of our ongoing series on the 10 best timeless secrets every married man must know. In this section, we shall be looking at the third law, which is never turn your wife into the enemy. But before we delve into that, may I ask you to please take a moment to subscribe to our channel? Always remember to like, share, and drop your comments on our videos. We love you and deeply appreciate your support. Thank you. The first point we will be looking at is the natural principle of matrimony. Listen, marriage was never designed to produce winners and losers. Think about every argument you've ever witnessed between happily married couples. Eventually, someone apologizes, someone compromises, someone forgives, someone listens. Now ask yourself, who actually won? The answer is simple. The marriage won. Unfortunately, many husbands unknowingly approach disagreements as though they are entering a courtroom. Every conversation becomes a trial. Every sentence becomes evidence. Every misunderstanding becomes another opportunity to prove they were right. But marriage is not a courtroom. It is not a boxing ring. It is not a political debate. It is a partnership. The objective is never to defeat the person sitting across from you. The objective is to protect the relationship sitting between you. Marriage researcher Dr. John Gottman has repeatedly observed that successful couples develop what he calls a shared sense of we-ness. They stop thinking in terms of my problem versus your problem and begin thinking in terms of our challenge. That subtle shift changes how conflict is approached and resolved. The healthiest husbands understand something profound. Every conflict presents two choices: become opponents or become teammates. Only one of those choices strengthens a marriage. Point number 2, why men sometimes create enemies without realizing it. Most husbands genuinely love their wives, yet under pressure, they begin speaking a completely different language. You always, you never, this is your fault. Why can't you be more like? Those statements do something dangerous. They stop addressing behavior. They begin attacking identity. When someone feels personally attacked, the brain naturally shifts towards self-protection. Relationship psychologists have long observed that criticism directed at a person's character is far more likely to trigger defensive than discussions focused on specific behaviors or situations. That is why conversations often deteriorate so quickly. The original issue disappears. Now both people are simply trying to defend themselves. The discussion is no longer about solving a problem. It has become about protecting pride. An old Arabic proverb wisely says, "The wound made by words is deeper than the wound made by a sword." A husband may forget the sentence he spoke in anger. His wife may remember how that sentence made her feel for years. Now, here is the practice. Learn to separate the person from the problem. One of the greatest habits of emotionally mature husbands is remarkably simple. They separate who their wife is from what happened. Instead of saying, "You're careless with money," and we talk about how to share it better, instead of saying, "You're always criticizing me," they say, "I feel discouraged when our conversations become focused only on what went wrong." They say, "I'm concerned about our spending this month. Can we look at the budget together?" Instead of saying, "You never support me." They say, "Lately, I've been feeling alone in handling this responsibility. I'd really like us to work through this differently." Now, notice the pattern. The mature husband removes accusation. He replaces it with collaboration. He speaks to solve, not to wound. A Chinese proverb reminds us, a family in harmony prospers in everything. Harmony does not mean the absence of disagreement. It means disagreement without becoming enemies. Let's take an example. One Saturday morning, Thomas was preparing an important presentation for work. His favorite coffee mug sat beside his laptop. His wife Lisa was cleaning the table. Accidentally, the mug slipped from her hands and shattered across the floor. Thomas immediately felt irritation rising. His first impulse was to say, "You never pay attention." Fortunately, he stopped himself. I realized something. The broken mug was the problem. Lisa was not. Instead, I smiled and quietly said, "Looks like my favorite mug finally retired." Lisa looked relieved. "I was so afraid you'd be angry." Thomas laughed. "It's only a mug." Years later, Lisa would barely remember the mug, but she never forgot how safe she felt in that moment. Sometimes the strongest marriages are strengthened by moments that seem insignificant. Let's consider another case. Michael had repeatedly reminded his wife about an important parent-teacher meeting. She completely forgot. Their son's teacher waited nearly 40 minutes. Michael was embarrassed. Driving home, frustration filled the car. He could have said, "I knew I couldn't rely on you." Instead, he asked, "What happened today?" His wife burst into tears. She had spent the entire morning caring for her elderly mother after unexpected medical emergency. The school meeting had completely slipped her mind. Had Michael attacked her immediately, he would have misunderstood both the situation and the woman he loved. Curiosity revealed truth. Assumption almost destroyed it. As the Russian proverb wisely says, "Not judge another until you have walked 2 moons in his boots." Understanding almost always arrives after patience, not before. Now, let's look into the invisible scoreboard weakness of some men. Many husbands keep an invisible scoreboard. They say, "I apologized last time. Now it's her turn. I did the dishes yesterday. She owes me. I compromised before. Now she should compromise." Healthy marriages do not flourish because 2 accountants keep perfect records. They flourish because 2 generous people stop measuring every act of kindness. Social psychologists studying close relationships have repeatedly found that couples who view their marriages as cooperative partnerships rather than transactional exchanges report higher satisfaction and greater resilience during difficult seasons. Marriage is not about balancing accounts. It is about building a life. An old Danish proverb says, "He who counts every grain will never fill the barn." The same is true in marriage. The husband who counts every sacrifice often forgets why he was making those sacrifices in the first place. Now let's face a harsh reality. The children are watching. Many husbands don't underestimate one powerful truth. Arguments are never witnessed only by the husband and wife. Even when children are in another room, they notice. They hear the raised voices. They recognize emotional distance. They observe silence at the dinner table. Developmental psychologists have consistently found that children learn relationship patterns not only from what parents teach, but from what they repeatedly observe. A home where disagreements are handled respectfully provides children with lifelong lessons in emotional regulation, empathy, and cooperation. One day your son may become someone's husband. One day your daughter may become someone's wife. Long before they receive marriage advice, they are already studying yours. As an old Nigerian proverb says, "The child who watches the pot learns how to cook." Whether we intend it or not, our marriages become classrooms. Now, let's look at the transformation that happens when husband and wife become one team. Imagine 2 people standing back to back. They are surrounded by life's challenges, financial uncertainty, health concerns, career changes, parenting struggles, unexpected disappointments. If they stand facing each other, they leave their backs exposed. If they stand together, they protect one another. That image captures the essence of marriage. The mature husband does not ask, "How do I win this argument?" He asks, "How do we overcome this challenge together?" That single change in mindset transforms nearly every conflict. Instead of blame, there is brainstorming. Instead of criticism, there is cooperation. Instead of accusation, there is understanding. Instead of enemies, there is partnership. Here are some practical habits every husband should develop. Every disagreement offers an opportunity to strengthen the habit of teamwork. When conflict arises, replace you statements with we statements whenever possible. Criticize the issue, never your wife's character. Ask yourself, will these words bring us closer or push us farther apart? Assume there may be information you don't yet know. Resist the temptation to keep score. Remember that preserving trust is more valuable than proving a point. Small habits repeated consistently became the culture of a marriage. Now, as we conclude on this 3rd law, here's the lesson to always remember. There's an old Cherokee proverb that says, "Do not let yesterday use up too much of today." Many marriages remain trapped in old arguments because neither spouse is willing to leave yesterday behind. The mature husband understands that every morning offers a choice. He can reopen old battles, or he can build a better future. Great husbands are not remembered because they always had the perfect answer. They are remembered because their wives always knew one thing. No matter how difficult life becomes, my husband will never treat me like the enemy. That confidence becomes one of the strongest pillars upon which lasting marriages are built. By now, you've learned 3 timeless laws. Master yourself before speaking. Seek understanding before offering solutions. Never turn your wife into the enemy. But there is another force, quieter, more subtle, and often more destructive than anger. It doesn't shout. It whispers. It convinces husbands that apologizing is weakness, that admitting mistakes diminishes authority, that being right is more important than restoring peace. Its name is pride. And as you will discover in our next lesson, pride has quietly destroyed more marriages than disagreement ever has. Law the four. Pride is the silent killer of marriage. Thank you for watching. Please kindly remember to subscribe to our channel. Also like, share, and drop your comments on our videos. We love you and deeply appreciate all your support. Bye for now.